Electricity is a skill every Rust player should know about. It unlocks more mechanics, gives you an edge over other players, and makes you a valuable member on the team. If you've never worked with electricity before, that is no problem, because today I will show you how you can use electricity without any prior knowledge. I'll go over the most important components you should know about and get you all the way up to your first circuit that will help you in the wipe. To use electricity, you need to have a wire tool. This one is unlocked by default, costs 2 high quality metal and can be crafted while standing next to a tier 1 workbench. For all the other electrical components, you need to learn them first. This you can do at the engineering workbench. This one can be found on the research tree in the tier 1 over here. And once you have crafted, you see the research tree over here with all the electrical components you could learn about. Once you have unlocked those components, they will show up in your crafting menu under the electrical tab, or you can always search for them directly in the search bar. And here's how you can use the wire tool. Say we want to connect the battery on the left with the ceiling light here on the right. We equip the wire tool, and once we look at an electrical components, these white cubes show up. We can differentiate between inputs that are highlighted with a blue arrow and outputs that are highlighted with a red arrow. To connect two components, we simply go over the cube, press left click, and now we are wiring. We go over to the ceiling light, look at the cube of the input, and press left click once again. Now we have created a wire going from the battery to this light, and we see that it's now lit up. If we want to remove a wire, we simply look on the cube and hold right click. We don't have to connect components directly. We also instead could left click and add more points in between by just left clicking. This way we can make a neat setup to the ceiling light. And if we ever mess up and don't like a point, we can simply tap the right to remove the last connection. And to remove everything, we once again just hold right. To make this whole process a bit more organized, we also can hold shift while wiring. And you see that now the wire tool snaps either horizontally or vertically, allowing us for a very clean connection. Wires themselves can go up to 30 feet. So if we start wiring, you see these two numbers, and as we slowly walk away, the number goes down and down and down until we reach 0, and now it would be too far. The same applies with the connection points we can put in between. Every time we hit left click, the smaller number underneath goes down, and if once we have 16 points, we can't go any further. You can also, while wiring, equip another item. So say we started wiring over here. Now we take out the building plan, then do something with the hammer. Once we return to the wire, it is still in the wire mode. That is until we take it out of our toolbar. Then it's no longer active. When we take a closer look at the ceiling light, we see that in the input, we get 100 power from the battery. And then the ceiling light also has a pass-through where all the rest of the power is still available. And we see we have 98. That makes sense given that the ceiling light itself consumes 2 power. So if we wanted to go ahead and connect more lights, we could simply put them down and then always take the pass-through into the power of the next one. Maybe you don't want to have the lights on the whole time. For this, we can add a switch. Simply put it down. And now we want to have it in between the battery and the lights. So to not mess up the whole thing, we only look at the input and tap the right instead of holding it. This will only remove the last connection. So we remove 2 more points and go from here into the switch and back into the ceiling light. Now everything only is on when we turn on the switch. And just like this, you already know how to wire up lights and learned about your first electrical component, the switch. If we take a closer look at the battery, we see that more information is showing up. Keep in mind, this only shows up when you have the wire tool in your hand. Over here we can see the maximum output of the large battery, which, as we already saw, is 100 power. We also see the active usage, that is all the power that is currently consumed. Given that we have 3 lights, each costing us 2, it currently sits at 6. Under the capacity we see how much charge is still in the battery, and it can also run a calculation on how long that charge will last us for in minutes. Which brings us directly to the next topic, which is power sources, because at some point our battery will be drained and we would like to keep it running, but therefore we need to supply it with power. For this, Rust gives us several options to choose from. Starting off with the solar panel. This one can get us up to 20 power. It will only provide us with power while it is daylight, and it also depends on the direction it is facing at. For example, this one only gives us 2, whereas this one is 17 and 20 all the way over here. For placing solar panels, there are 2 rules you should keep in mind. If the wipe just started out, or you only intend on playing for a few days, you should place them facing north, which you can see on your compass at the top of your screen. If you intend on playing for a longer duration, then you should use a setup like this, where you place 1 solar panel into the east and 1 into the west. This will give you on average the maximum amount of power available to you. The next option as a power source is the generator. This one works on fuel. Usually it's more for niche cases, but it uses low-grade fuel. You can turn it on with E and it provides you with 40 power. Continuing on, we have the water wheel. We have 2 options over here. We can either mount it and run in it by yourselves. This will give us 60 power, but you need to continue running, and as soon as you step out of it, it won't give you any power. The other option would be to place it into the water, where it gives you up to 30 power depending on how fast the water stream is flowing. We also have the windmill. This one can be either placed on 2 triangle foundations or 1 square foundation, and it gives you up to 150 power. That is mainly dependent on the height that you place it at. The higher you place it, the more power it will provide, but it will also change throughout the day, and if something is blocking it in front of it, it will also decrease. One honorable mention goes to the test generator. This one gives you 100 power for free, but this is an admin item only. You may see it on a building server or on modded. Now, with our power source covered, we of course would like to save our power as well. For this we have 3 different battery sizes: small, medium and large. From the information shown, we see that the large one gives us 100 output, the medium 50 and the small one up to 15. To charge a battery, we simply run a wire from a power source, say the solar panel, and plug it into the input of the battery. And now that we'll see that the capacity slowly is going up until its maximum. If you want to use multiple power sources to power the same battery, you will need to use a root combiner. These small boxes allow you to connect multiple power sources together. So we have one input over here and another one over here. And we see that the combined output is now applied. This one we could plug into the power in of a battery and it would work as usual. We can repeat the process to get as much power as we need. Another concept to keep in mind that if we use a battery instead of using the electricity directly from the source, there's a little bit of energy waste. That is 20%. So to calculate what power you'll need to put into a battery to get a desired output, you will always need to multiply the active usage by 1.25. To give you an example of how that would look like, we have this exemplary base with some lights, a fridge, 2 turrets and some furnaces. Adding together all the usage of different components, we'll see that we need 40 power to power everything. But putting 40 power into the battery wouldn't be enough because of the tax, so we need to multiply 40 with 1.25, which gives us 50. This is the minimum we would need to put into the battery to have everything running 24/7. As we saw, we have different sources to choose from to get these 50 power. We could place down multiple solar panels, we could place down one windmill. In our case, let's go with some water wheels. Each of those provides us with 30 power, so 60 in total, which is more than enough. Connect this to the power in of the battery, and now we have all the power supply that we need to run this operation. Now you may say we could just run the output directly into light and then go off from the pass-through of this light. But as we can see, we would run into a problem because, say, the fridge, for example, doesn't have a pass-through that would let us allow to keep going. So instead, what we use is a branch. We connect the battery to the branch, and taking a closer look at it, we see that we have 100 power in the input, 2 in the branch output, and 98 in the power out. We can adjust how the distribution of those two outputs is by just pressing E and then changing the amount in here. If we connect those two power to the ceiling light, we see, well, it's not enough because we would need to have 6 for all ceiling lights. So we just go ahead and change it to 6. All the power that is left over is still accessible with the power out. So we repeat the process once again, take the power out into the next branch and take away 5 for the fridge. We of course would like to differentiate the wires going to the ceiling lights to the one going to the fridge. For this, we can use wire colors. Simply hold the R key and we get this radial menu. Over here we could, for example, choose the light blue color. And the next wire that we place down will have set color. If we want to adjust the color of an existing wire, we can simply choose the color we would like, look at the connection point and then tap the R key. And as you saw, the black wire to the ceiling lights just changed to yellow. Next up, we want to connect the auto turrets. For this, we need 20 as we have 10 for each of them. Running down the wire, we once again come into a little bit of a problem because we can't simply split between those two. We could use a branch and set it to 10, giving each of the outputs 10. Or what we could use as well is a splitter. This is this white box over here. We hook it up to power and now it gives us 3 different outputs. It will split the amount depending on how many things are connected to it. So if we connect 2 auto turrets, it will split the power of 20 equally between the 2 of them. And lastly, we have the auto furnaces. Let's choose orange for them and bring the wire all the way over to the furnaces. Over here, we once again use a splitter. So power in, connect each of the furnaces. And it seems like we have forgotten to apply the right amount of power to this one. So we run back to our branch and we need 9 power for all the furnaces combined. Now we see we have 9 power, which is equally split between the 3 inputs. If it were only 2, it would be split between those 2. And this already gives you a very nice setup. Congratulations, you now know how to use electricity and use it to your advantage in Rust. If this helped you make your very own first circuit, share it in the Discord below and I will make sure to cheer you on. There are of course many more components inside the game, we only covered the basics. But in this video I go over all of them and explain them to you one by one. Thanks to everybody supporting me on Patreon, keep Philieving and stay splendid.